Well, Matt, you're missing your guy, Jim Hayes, because this guy, though, he's dedicated because this Cardinals game versus the Royals, which is a makeup, supposed to be around 3 o'clock, but the weather's coming, so they switched it to noon. So Cat showed up for 1 hour of the show wearing his tie with a Cardinals logo on it.
I mean, he can't pull off both. Why does he need to be there right now?
That's what I said. The clubhouse opens. I mean, you know this, 12:15 game.
Yeah.
The clubhouse
Nobody
opens at.
talks to him anyway.
Yes.
Like, what could he possibly be doing?
Exactly.
He loves to work. He's a workaholic.
No. He's just trying to get out of this show and by acting like he does something at his other job. So,
Yeah.
it's really quite crazy that they haven't replaced him with a female, like, nice-looking woman yet. I keep waiting for that to happen.
Trust me, he's probably thinking that too. It's just sometimes that's what happens. It trends in that direction. No, that's why he's there, because he works his ass off, and he just knows that he brings a little bit different element to the table. And now that I'm working with him, I watch him all the time, and he does do creative things. I'll give him that. Hey, how's your
week? Be nice to him. Gosh, he has enough. We have enough trouble keeping him humble.
Thank you.
He is. Yeah, he acts like he's humble, but he's really not. But he's really not at all.
Yeah.
Matty, what'd you do all weekend, bud?
Well, we went down to Austin, Texas, and pulled off a 3-game sweep against the Longhorns in Austin. So that was exciting. And so the boys played well and came away with a sweep, which, as you guys know, it's not easy to go down there and beat Texas. And we were able to do it 3 times. So yesterday we capped it off. We were down 7-0 in the 7th and dropped a 10 spot in the 7th. And ended up beating them 10-8. So, pretty exciting weekend for Cowboy baseball, and it was fun to watch the guys perform.
Yeah, I was checking the box scores. I'm guessing, are you the de facto hitting coach or the hitting coach? Because you scored 32 runs in 3 games. You got to be happy about that.
Yeah, so I'll take credit. I'll be the hitting coach this weekend. So I killed it as the hitting coach this weekend, but. No, it was good. It was fun watching the guys swing the bats, and it was a warm weekend, and it was a very hitter-friendly environment, which is good. And so we hit some homers and a lot of extra base hits and a lot of good at bats, and it was like I said, it was fun to watch them play. I enjoyed the effort, and like we got down 7-0 on a Sunday after already winning the series. It would have been easy for them to sort of just kind of coast and finish out and, still feel good about winning the series. But, they fought and we ended up, like I said, it was a pretty incredible 10 spot capped off by a grand slam and sort of took the air out of the stadium. It was pretty cool.
So I'm guessing you didn't get to watch a ton of Cardinals baseball this weekend as you're down there in Austin. How about last week, though? We talked with you on Monday, and then that Mets-Cardinals series gets real interesting, especially Tuesday. You have a bunch of beanballs. A lot of them, I think they were all unintentional on Tuesday. But then, of course, you got some more going on. The day game Wednesday, Arenado gets a fastball high and tight. He ends up charging. What'd you think of that whole soiree?
Well, I thought it was interesting because, the Mets have sort of said that they've been getting hit a lot by all teams, and so, but I it's like, well, the Cardinals, are not. You haven't played them yet, and so, and then the one changeup, it was a changeup that hit the first baseman in the head.
Alonso,
so
yep.
Sometimes you got to put it into context. Like clearly, he wasn't trying to hit you, and I know that when you get hit up in the high area, it doesn't matter what pitch it is. There's initial sort of irritation and especially I guess they lead the league in being hit by pitches, but it's not by much. I gather a little bit of information here or there. So I thought it was I don't know, it's a little overreaction. So it's one of those things. Sometimes it's galvanizing for a team to get into a little dust up. Obviously, it wasn't much of a fight. I thought some of the comments were funny after the thing, about Pete Alonso putting people in the hospital and how big he was. And mentioned he was a big guy 2 or 3 times. I think if you're a big guy, you don't have to mention it, right? You just let other people talk about how big a guy you are. I don't think you have to make sure everyone knows all the damage that you could have done if you wanted to. And so I thought that was kind of funny. I thought Stubby kind of being tucked underneath his armpits with nice leverage, taking him down. There's a couple pictures of that I found amusing. So I think that, that's all, part of the game. It usually doesn't happen this early in the season, like the irritation level and sort of it usually happens when it gets really hot and guys start getting on edge a little bit, and you've played a team a few times, and it's usually kind of in the division that this type of stuff happens. So I thought it was a little strange but I guess the Mets have been getting hit by pitches and this sort of thing happens, but I always enjoy it. I always enjoy when Nolan gets all fired up and gets that look in his eye and, wants to get a piece. I enjoy watching that. That's something that adds a little flavor. Like I said, I've always said I wish baseball was a little bit more like hockey. In hockey you can get in a little fight, you sit out for 2 or 4 minutes, whatever it is, and right back out on the ice. So, in baseball they suspend you for 2 games for swiping away the catcher. And so I think we're a little soft.
On his bobblehead night, too, by the way. I like that Nolan. Man, there's nothing fake about him. Some guys kind of put the show on, but I think he kind of convinced himself to go out there. Like, sometimes you can't help it. But the fire's in his eyes, man. I love his emotion. Hey, but about Stubby Clap, though. Imagine you're in there, you're trying to, break stuff up, and all of a sudden, a coach comes out of nowhere and tackles you and kind of embarrasses you. Is there something different to that? Because in any other sport, there's never any confrontation with another coach. But in baseball, with these fights, some of the coaches could come in and you're wrestling around with a coach, which is, to me, it's so bizarre. But what do you think of that whole thing? If that happened to you, would you be like, damn you, Stubby, you're lucky I didn't get you, because you kind of are an old man and you are big and strong.
Yeah, it's one of those things where the coaches are trying to break it up and they're trying to keep it from escalating, which obviously in hockey you guys don't really care. There's no real breakout. I mean, I guess when you hit the ice, right, the referees try to jump in and make sure. But, the coaches are in suits and they're standing without skates, and so they just kind of watch. But in baseball, they're somewhat close by. There's always, kind of this deal where they're trying to be the peacemakers, and umpires sort of kind of get out of the way. And so it is an interesting dynamic. But, I think it is funny. Stubby's short, but he's pretty strong.
He's a wrestler.
And he has nice leverage. Look, you're not getting underneath Stubby. He once he had Peter Alonso underneath him, there was really nothing he could do. So I think it's one of those things, like I said, where mostly in baseball, there's not this overriding anger that you really want to fight. There's not anybody on the team. Most of these guys are friends, and they, before the game they're talking, and there's not a built up sort of hatred that there can be sometimes in rivalries, or, I think back to the sort of some of those Reds deals and the Brewers, fights we had in the division where you get tired of playing the same teams. You get tired of certain guys' acts, and there starts to be some hatred built up where, when you're playing the Mets and you haven't played them all year and you don't really play them that often, and it's hard to kind of generate that kind of hate or anger where you really do want to punch somebody in the face. So it's like this, I don't know, I guess it's just hey, quit hitting us or we're going to hit you back. And then everybody kind of don't throw it high. And it's just kind of like this yelling match, and then everybody moves about their day. So nobody got hurt. Nolan missed the game, which I think is crazy, but that's how it goes.
We're talking with Matt Holliday. So going back to that, I couldn't remember the year, but 2010, the whole situation with you guys and the Reds and Cueto and LaRue. I'm guessing that has to be the biggest brawl you were a part of. I can't remember, obviously, all the Rockies situations. So that fight, was that different where you knew right away that it was actually going to get pretty violent?
Yeah, that had kind of been in the works. I think Brandon Phillips and Yachty, and there was a lot of back and forth, and even some trash talk in the media, and they were coming for us. They thought that it was their best teams, some of their best teams they've had, and we were sort of the top dogs, and they were trying to come for us, and Brandon Phillips was trying to create a that they weren't scared of us type image. And And then I think the thing that really set it off is obviously when Cueto kicked Jason LaRue in the head and really derailed his career, and kind of has had an impact on his life after baseball. So that whole deal was a kind of one of those situations that you don't really ever want it to get that ugly. That was probably the most violent, and with Carp and his best bud Scott Rowland yelling at each other, and that was pretty intense. But that, again, you're going back to a division rival. We play them all the time. You see them every year. You play them 19 times, and it starts to build up, and guys start saying things, and there does become a real solid hatred towards the not just kind of a competition on the field. It kind of goes beyond that. So that rivalry and that relationship with the Reds at that time was pretty legit, nasty.
So I remember too that Brandon Phillips, I believe he called y'all Cardinals the B words, I believe.
Ooh.
In the media. And I'm thinking, I always think stuff like that is funny. I understand if you're playing, it's a different story. And I know you weren't with the Cardinals when this happened, but I was just thinking of this as we're talking about just kind of brawls and comments. And 2019, Chris Bryant makes the comment where he says St. Louis is boring. And I thought that was funny. And then it became this big deal. And you know how Yachty is. He always defends this city. I just thought it was a funny comment from somebody from Chicago talking about St. Louis. And I live here. I can say I think it's kind of boring.
It is boring.
So, if you were on the Cardinals then, are you really offended by that?
No. I like this stuff. I
Me
think
too.
It keeps things interesting, especially in the long season. I mean, I think that I'm okay with colorful comments and a little bit of banter and trash talk. I don't have trouble with that. I mean, like I said, I think if it gives you a little bit of extra adrenaline in July or August when it's hot and you played the Cubs 16 times and I'm all for if a little bit of banter gets you going. Sometimes it adds to the fun and the environment of the game. So I'm okay with all that stuff. I don't get offended easily. I like a little bit of. I loved those matchups with the Brewers when what's his name had a nickname and Carp would yell at him and he'd throw his dip and
Niger Morgan.
Yeah, Niger
T
Morgan.
Plush.
Well, T Plush. Yeah, the whole T Plush thing. Those games were super intense and fun and anytime Carp took the mound, you knew that there was a chance that we were going to have some sort of hollering back and forth and potentially a confrontation. So I loved that. So that fired me up. So I love emotion. I love when guys play with emotion as long as it's not out of control. And always enjoyed playing behind Carp and Waino and these guys that will show you a little bit of fire. So it's that to me is that's enjoyable. I love to watch that now that I don't play and enjoy that kind of thing.
Yeah, I was trying to think of the Niger Morgan deal. Did the benches clear against the Brewers at any time during that season?
Yeah, I mean, it was always kind of the half clear, where it was like, oh, people start to come out and they're yelling at each other and everybody starts to head that way, and then it kind of gets broken up. I don't remember exactly. I don't have the greatest memory when it comes to that stuff, but I do remember a couple times when they were yelling at each other, and I think Carp told him to sit down a few times, and it was just like I said, it was just good, intense, games where and Carp. I think he yelled at me when I was on the Rockies back in the day, and if you didn't run immediately, whether it was good or bad on the result. Like if you hit a pop-up and you were yelled damn, because you missed a good pitch to hit, he'd stare you down and tell you, what are you mad about? You weren't going to hit it anyway. Just stuff like that where I loved it. So when I faced him, I always, I actually had a couple, I think maybe homers off of him, and I just put my head down and ran around the bases as fast as I could because I didn't want to piss him off. But I loved competing against Carp.
Do you have any good Carp stories that we haven't heard? Maybe about something he said to an opponent or a teammate. We remember the old Brendan Ryan situation. I can't remember if that was when you were here or not, but Brendan apparently did not get out to the field quick enough with his glove, right?
So that was a great story, yeah. So Brennan was notoriously late coming on the field. Like, we'd be, 30 minutes before the game, I'm strapped up, like I'm ready, like shoes are I'm hitting in the cage, full sweat, out on the field, and I'd be about to head out to start running sprints 30 minutes before the game, and Brennan would literally still be in his sliders, like socks, eating a sandwich, no jersey, and then, I'd come back in to get a drink, like, 7 minutes before the game, and his shoes are untied, and he's taking some hacks, like some light swings in the cage, and doesn't know where his hat or his glove is. And so when and he was pitching, and so he batted low in the order. So I think he took some liberties with like the fact that we still had to hit on the road in Cincinnati. And so I think we went quick 1, 2, 3, and we take the field, and he can't find his glove. I think he had somebody else's hat on. His shoes were untied, and Carp's standing on the mound waiting for our shortstop. And he did not like it that Brennan had pushed it to the limit and was not out on the field. So he took him down in the tunnel and told him in a very nice way that he needed to be a little bit more prepared for the game, particularly on days he pitched. So Brennan was a free spirit, awesome, or is, I guess. He's still doing great. Was fun to be around, but he did push it on preparation time leading up to the game, and Carp let him know that he needed to be a little bit more ready next time.
Yeah, I loved Brendan Ryan, and he was always doing the De Niro impression for the media.
Yeah.
Loved that guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but
He's funny.
but was he a young kid at the time too?
Pretty young, yeah.
Yeah, so he was a kind of
youngish.
Was he a 2-year tenure?
He should have known better by then.
Yeah, I was going to say.
While.
Because it does screw you up a little bit when a guy's just kind of wait till the last second till he gets out. It's like, let's go.
Uh-huh.
We're all ready.
Yeah.
Hey, what about the
for sure.
I was in Cabo doing my thing when you were on
Humble
the
brag.
I mean, I'm tan too, by the way. But the point is, I saw that the Yankees fans, I mean, imagine being out in the outfield and they're just chucking full beer cans at you, hitting you in the head. I mean, like, what do you do in that? Has that happened to you? Would you confront the fans? I mean, I know that's kind of a lose-lose, but sometimes you got to stick up for yourself too.
Yeah, it's really a no-win situation. You want to, because that's your instincts is, you want a piece, but there's nothing you can do. It's like one of those things. What are you going to do? You're going to jump in the stands and fight them all. I mean, so it's one of those things where you hope that never happens, and I don't know. I don't understand how it even began. I guess I didn't read much about how that all started, but that was crazy. And I think the Yankees players and Aaron Judge and some of their leaders going out there and telling them to chill out and, just kind of calm down. And, I think going back to the Atlanta series when they called the infield fly, and then I think the fans started throwing stuff all over the field in a playoff game, and we had to come off the field. So, I get it. Like, I love the passion of baseball fans, and I love the passion of fans in general. But at some point, like, you can't throw stuff onto the field or throw stuff at players. That's over the line. And so hopefully I know that the Yankees put security closer to the bottom of the fence where, that there's no interaction with players, which I think is smart. So that would be I don't know, I guess, as you know, like, they wouldn't do that if you saw them in the street, they wouldn't say or do some of those things, but that fence is sort of a magic protection screen that they can do and say a lot of things that they wouldn't do if they were walked up to you in a street.
We're talking with Matt Holliday. This will be my last question because Frank Cusimano's
Frankie's here. Looking
and he
good,
was
baby.
all mad that we took time last
Maddie
week.
says hi to you, by the way.
Even though it was, look at
He's
him.
like, oh, look it up. Look.
Say hi to Matt real quick, Frank.
Matt, great to hear your voice. You're still my all-time favorite Cardinal.
Hey, how are you?
He said, hi, how are you?
Good.
Yeah, Frank doesn't have headphones on. It's all good.
Great radio.
But he was saying, hey, we're going over in time. And I said, hey, when Andy Van Slyke asked a question to Matt Holliday, we're going to let the Gold Glover
I'm just
speak,
saying.
all right? So my final question here, hockey. Were you a hockey fan as a kid? Did you become a hockey fan with maybe the Avalanche or the Blues? Hockey playoffs start tonight.
Yeah,
Everybody
baby.
complains about the 8:30 start times, but it's Blues, Wild, Should be a hell of a series,
Yeah,
honestly.
baby.
So, did you become a Blues
Yeah.
fan?
I did. I didn't follow it much in Colorado. I didn't really grow up around hockey in Oklahoma. My dad's always been a Penguins fan. He's from Pittsburgh area. So my dad has always liked hockey, but back in standard definition TV, hockey was a tough watch.
Yeah,
Like,
man.
You literally can't see the puck. Like, you're trying to follow it. I have no idea the rules. So he would sit and watch hockey on a standard definition TV, and I always thought, my gosh, I don't even know what's going on. So, but once I got to St. Louis and got to know some of the guys, it becomes more interesting when you're friends with some of the players and you start to understand the rules a little bit, and got to go to a few games, and the intensity and the speed when you get down on the close to the ice, I was like, wow, this is awesome. And then all the fighting and I loved it. I mean, I still watch Blues games when I can, and I do love watching playoff hockey. There's no doubt that there's like another level of intensity that watching those guys and how fast it is. I'm excited. I'm excited to watch this year. I don't know a ton of the current players like I did when I played in St. Louis, but I still root for the Blues pretty hard.
Yeah, I bet you if you're in Oklahoma, you're at a bar, and you're like, "Can you put the hockey game on?" They're like, "Well, it's like way down on the totem pole. Bull riding,
Rodeo.
tornado hunting. It doesn't matter. It's way down."
We don't have that channel. Yeah.
No. All right, look at big Andy Man Slide coming in here.
You guys on the way over from home. I think next time you have Matt Holliday on, we need a no clicker.
No clicker. That's what it is.
Uh-oh.
He's chirping you, Matty.
I am.
What'd you say?
He's
Van Slyke is chirping you a
He's
little
chirping
bit.
a little bit. Oh, that'd be a tough.
Hey,
I know.
I'm a chirp on him.
You're both
He's
big.
here Monday, right?
Matty, I
Yes.
appreciate you coming on, dude. You're the man.
All
Go
right,
enjoy
boys.
yourself.
Yeah.
We'll talk to you next week.
Okay, see you guys.
See you, buddy.
See you, buddy.